heartbreaking.
It is.
How many people aren't doing this anymore because they had a bad experience there?
Yeah.
You know, and whether you're going to do it to make a living out of it, or you're doing it just because you love it and you want to have a cool D&D game, or you want to read better to your kids, who cares? Like, no one has the right to extinguish that. We do this because everyone has the right to do what they love. Everyone, every one of you, shed the shoulds. Do what you love. This is my revolution, to break everyone free of the friggin' corporate world matrix that locks you in and away from your heart and soul. And if this is where it lives, come on in.
Today's episode of the Character Select podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Hero Forge. Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy species and thousands of parts to choose from. Their easy-to-use design tool lets you build your perfect miniature online using a fully 3D, in-depth character creator right in your web browser. I have spent hours on this thing. It is so much fun. Hero Forge offers custom minis in a variety of materials, including color-printed options. Hero Forge also offers downloadable model files for users to 3D print their unique designs at home. Hero Forge is constantly expanding its catalog of customization options, adding new parts every week and major features like new species and custom posing on a regular basis. And the Hero Forge 2.0 color technology allows you to create your perfect miniature in color with advanced features like decals, makeup, war paint, and more. Design your unique miniature and get it printed in full color, no painting needed, which is good for people like me who maybe don't have the coordination for that. Your role-playing world is colorful. Now, your miniatures can be too, with Hero Forge custom color minis. Visit HeroForge.com to start designing your custom miniature today, and check back often. New content is added every week. This episode is also brought to you by Skillshub. Whether you're a complete beginner or a seasoned professional, Skillshub has everything you need to kickstart and advance your voice acting career. We love Skillshub. Cannot recommend it enough. With personalized plans designed to fit your goals and aspirations, you can confidently navigate your journey in the world of voiceover. Learn which avenues best suit your unique skills and discover different ways to monetize your voice talents. From commercials to video games to audiobooks to animation, sky's the limit. Practice and refine your craft with expert design tools such as character development, accent mastery, or script interpretation. Connect directly with more than 80 vetted coaches who are top industry pros, casting directors, voice directors, and working actors to receive valuable feedback and guidance. Skillshub is more than just a platform. It's a thriving community of voice actors, and with per-minute billing, you're in control of how much you spend. Track your progress, communicate with coaches, connect with the community, and stay motivated. Don't wait any longer to advance your voice acting career. Visit skillshub.life/characterselect today to pick your path and get 20% off your first 3 months. Skillshub. Come for the access. Stay for the community. Hello, everybody! I almost said welcome, but I had to throw you for a loop. Surprise! Here we are. So, you may notice that our environment is a little bit different today. Oh, pray tell, why would that be happening?
We are on location.
On location, you say? Where? Where on earth could we be? Where on earth is Carmen Sandiego, per se? Oh, there's a little hint. There's a little hint why we're out where we are. You guys, we are so excited. I know we are excitable, and it feels like we're excited in every episode, and that is because we are excited in every episode. But this one is a little extra special because we flew a very far distance to come celebrate the wonder of our next guest, who is not only a genuine legend who continues to be more of a legend, like minute by minute. This is not the end by any stretch of the imagination. Many, many more legendary things to come, but also one of our best friends.
Yes.
And just one of the finest human beings you could possibly meet on the planet. So, as we speak, we are making them blush in the corner, which I am very proud of. My work here is done, but not really done. Not really done. So today on Character Select, let's introduce you to our guest. It feels weird. Once again, it feels weird reading a bio about someone who is one of your dear friends, but we're going to because the bio is baller and so is this human. So, me. Okay, here we go. Saying Jennifer Hale's voice is in everything is not hyperbole. The accomplished voice actress, singer, and business owner has the proof that it's basically fact. She was recognized by the 2013 edition of the Guinness World Book of Records Gamers Edition as the most prolific female video game voice actor in the world. The whole world. Like the entire world. All of it. The whole world. All the continents. Jennifer booked her first voiceover gig for a radio spot as a teenager in her first animated series in 1994 as the voice of Ivy in Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego? See? You see what I did there? Yeah. She unintentionally parlayed that into a career in video game voiceover when she was brought on to voice the same character in the PC title Carmen Sandiego Junior Detective Edition. Jen's firm grasp on her place in the record books was created by voicing iconic characters like Naomi Hunter in Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, Emma Emmerich in Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, female Commander Shepard in Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, yeah, Fem Shep, Sarah Palmer in Halo 4 and 5, Ash in Overwatch 1 and 2, holla, stay on the payload, Rosalind Lutece in Bioshock Infinite, and Bayonetta in Bayonetta 3, and then, on the animation side of her career, her credits include Ms. Keen and Princess Morbucks in the Powerpuff Girls series, Sam in Totally Spies, Cinderella in Ralph Breaks the Internet, and like a million more things that we don't have time to talk about right now. Ask the Google, it will tell you all the things, and then you'll be on Google for 19 hours because there's so many things.
Scrolling that
just scroll page. Like forever and ever and ever. It is the endless scroll. Here is something extra super cool, though, that both of us also love about Jen because she does so many things. In 2021, Jen co-founded the website Skillshub with her sister and their friend, creating an online resource that provides coaching and helps navigate voice actors of all skill levels through different aspects of the business. And then, on top of it all, she uses some of her very limited free time to spread positivity and wisdom to her fan base and her friends. I guarantee you that is the truth.
Yes,
doing so through her Patreon community, The Haven, and her uplifting posts across her social media accounts. You guys, that was like doing cardio. Woo! Mama out of shape. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we bring to you the incomparable, the gorgeous, the generous, the wonderful, the sexy, the Jennifer Hale!
Has my face returned to flesh color yet? I think it's so red. Oh
it's matching it. That kind of like blends in a little bit.
I'm watching Ganesh.
I love it. You and Ganesh can get together and compare your rosy cheeks. It's perfect. Ganesh is approving. He's approving only. I promise.
Thank you for watching over me.
Yes. Well, as the remover of obstacles, he has removed all obstacles to us being together.
I cannot believe this. You guys are here.
We're in the same place.
They're at my house.
Here's the thing: it's not only rare to get like the three of us in the same room, but it's so rare that you get to be in the same room with the voice actors that you admire and even work with, because usually everybody's either on Zoom in different studios or just doing different sessions. So, but yes, we made the journey because we wanted to capture the wild Jen Hale in her native habitat.
They tracked me down in the forest and I was trying to hide, but I couldn't get away.
No, you cannot escape. Resistance is futile. And look at this super coolness. So we're here in Jen's home studio, which is quite possibly my favorite ever home studio that I have ever seen. It's so beautiful. It's so calming. It's so beautifully set up. It's so artistic. It's just delicious. And I love that you do that with everything in your life. You put your unique imprint on it. And oh my God, one of the things that I didn't say about Jen that is so magnificent is that last year she was awarded the Icon Award at the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences Awards. And one of the things that I got to say about you then is that you are an icon in every way because you put your unique, you are indelibly you. And you put your unique mark on everything you do, whether it is a role that you do, whether it is a space that you fill. It's and it's always the energy that you bring into everything that you do, whether a conversation with friends or work. So we are going to let you talk eventually. We're just going to sit here. We're just going to sit here and brag about you to yourself for a while.
Oh my God, this is pretty easy to do.
Take it!
Don't make me practice when I free.
Yeah. See, getting a taste of your own medicine.
Use my words. They're
So before we get into the second half of the show, which, as we know, is going to be talking about a particular performance in video games, we want to talk about you and all of the things that make you. We can't talk about all the things that make you, but we want to talk about the journey for you from the beginning of your voice acting career, the beginning of your acting career, because I know you've done film and television as well, and some worked with some baller people. Like again, you guys, lucky. Legendary. She's a legend. It's amazing. But you started before you were voice acting. You started as a singer, right?
I did. I started singing in rock clubs when I was 15. I started taking drama. I think I took my first acting class when I was 12 just because so sounds so sad. I didn't have any friends, and I had kind of a kind of friend. I had one friend, and then I had a kind of friend. And my kind of friend was taking an acting class, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. Because I was just dying to belong, right? And I was like, this is super uncomfortable, but I'm going to go because she's going. And then we moved from Cincinnati back to Birmingham, Alabama, and my mother decided I was going to audition for the Fine Arts High School because I would not have made it in regular high school. I was that kid who had the string of nicknames. Everyone made fun of me. Like, I was that person, right? And that was a good move she made. But I remember I memorized my monologue in the car out in the parking lot of a bar at like 1 a.m. the night before my audition. And it was from the skin of our teeth, which is ironic because I got in by the skin of my teeth. I got in on probation. I got in on probation.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's where I met, at the Fine Arts High School, that's where I met like my future bandmates. And once I started like singing when I was 12, I went to camp like every summer because that's how I survived. And I borrowed a guitar from a counselor one night and I wrote a song, and then we actually performed that song, my little unit at the end of the camp. And it was so cool. And that was my joy. And when I think I was in my early 20s, and I was making a living full-time acting, and I was still singing in clubs, and we would rehearse 4 nights a week, and I was going to school full-time, and I had a boyfriend. Like, I was exhausted, and I hit this point where I was like, I have to choose between the singing and the acting, and I was like, well, acting's paying me money. Yeah. We'll just do this another time.
But you also get to keep the joy instead of having to necessarily always put it on display.
Exactly. This just fills my heart up. Yeah. It just fills my heart up.
We were just talking about this the other day, how important it is as any kind of an artist to keep something that you do creatively for yourself. Yeah. Because it's so often that we want to put all of those things out there. And I imagine especially for you now with such a high profile and so many people know all of your work, it must be a challenge to be able to find those places to create for yourself.
It gets so funny. I don't think of myself that way. I walk through the world like I'm invisible. In fact, Tom Bissell, years ago, Tom Bissell did a piece on me for the New Yorker, and I was blown away. I was like, me? And they ended up calling it Voice Box 360, but he put out a book of his essays a few years later, and it had the original title, and the original title of that essay is The Invisible Girl. Because that's how I walk through the world. And truly, when I do my work, my favorite thing is to disappear. I don't exist anymore. This character that writers make the world go round. This character that this writer dreamed up exists. And it's because I'm one of those, we talked about this, I'm one of those introvert extroverts. Yep. Like, you can put me, I could speak in front of 50,000 people. I don't mind. I have riled up huge crowds over issues. But you get me one-on-one, and I'm like, I'm all done. As Julie Newtonston once said, all done humans. All done humans. Yeah.
I totally get that. And also, I love that because, there are so many people automatically assume that actors are extroverted. They must be because they want to put themselves on stage or want to put themselves in the public eye. But like you said, there's so many incredible artists who want to disappear. Like, it's your safe space.
Yeah, and
to be able to experience that.
Yeah, and what I'm driven by is the thing. Yeah. It's the moment when the song channels through you and you don't even exist. You're simply just trying to keep up, and the moment when the character comes to life and there isn't you. Like, that's the joy of it for me. That's why I love voice acting, and I do love, film and TV because it's that in those sets you can drop in and disappear. Yeah. You know, it's funny. Theater doesn't call me as loudly as the other, because I'm more like, I'll never forget. I got a theater scholarship in college, and I got a great theater scholarship. But they were all doing musical theater, and I was like, oh my God, this isn't fitting me at all, and I feel like such a dork, and I feel so inadequate. I don't like this. So I switched and got a business degree, and then I got my first audition for a film. And I booked it. And I was like, this makes sense to me. Because I can truly just live this moment. And that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
All I can think is presence.
Yeah.
You are so present with people.
Wow.
That's what's so indelible about you, and why you can go into these rooms and blend or just drop in or become something else, is because you're so friggin' present at all times. And as a friend, as just like in the community, like you're not elsewhere. You're always like, if we're in the same room, you are there.
How interesting.
And that's the only other time I've felt that as strongly is like with Deborah Wilson.
Oh God, I love that woman.
Right? Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
But that's exactly how it is. It's like when you are there, and especially with people who you're giving your time to, like it's the presence.
Yeah.
That's such a lovely compliment. Thank you. I will receive that.
It absolutely shows up both in your life and in your work, and the two are very obviously so seamlessly connected. As long as I've known you, it has felt like you were like a warrior queen. Like you're the kind of person who comes in and the fight is a noble one. And part of what is so extraordinary about that is that you step up to fight for others. And you have done so much in the voice acting community and you've been doing this for long enough that you have kicked doors open and are continuing to hold them open for so many people. Do you feel like that is part of your why?
That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here for two things. I'm here to kick down barriers. Like when I first started auditioning in LA, it was the mid 90s, 94, I think. And I'd get the ads for copy, and it would be woman number 2, woman number 4, man number 3, announcer. And I say to my agents, can I read for announcer? And they're like, well, they want a man. I'm like, I understand. Can I read for announcer? I know. Can I read for announcer? You don't have to keep it. Just let me try. And I just kept doing that enough. And by, the 2000, 2002, you couldn't turn on the TV or radio without hearing me. It was insane. And I've had the great fortune in games to be cast in roles that were barrier breaking, and when I look at it, that's what I love. I just love kicking down doors. It's why I'm here. And I love, this sounds grandiose, I don't know how else to say it, seeking to channel the divine. The divine signals of humanity, of the universe, of all of us, and that comes through art. It comes through, for me, through song, through acting, and acting doesn't even feel on point. It's just through channeling what a writer put together as alive as I can in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm really just a channel for the divine and a pair of boots to kick down a bunch of doors so everybody can come in and connect with each other. And I love to connect people. Those are my joys.
Well, that's very clear, not just through how you walk through the world, but also the business you chose to start with Skillshub.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how you guys made the decision to create it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a few years ago. I was wanting to, to create this thing where, look, when you get to a certain level in your career, as you know, you don't need an hour coaching, and everybody does an hour coaching. I was like, I just need 10 minutes with someone I trust. I am so tired of pulling my head out of my own backside because you're tired. I'm, full-time single parent. Like,
black hole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I want to give this better than what I have right now. I just need an outside voice for a minute. And you can't stack up your auditions and make them fit because they're due now.
Yeah.
So I kept saying, I need a calendar system. I need something. And I was telling my sister about this, and she said, I'm going to have a barbecue, and I'm going to invite our friend Bill. And I was like, okay. And I chatted to Bill, and he's like, there's something here. And so I proceeded to hook him up with, I don't even know how many people. In the end, we did over 50, Bill, did over 50 one-on-one, at least an hour-long meetings with people at all different levels of this career. And he built this engine, and it's extraordinary. And then I sat down, and I was like, okay, if I don't know how to get from point A to point B, how do I do that? And I dumped the contents of my internal IP into these paths that we've written for people. They're just They're Lego instruction manuals, step 1, step 2, for the foundation. Okay, now for commercials. Okay. And I frame them like income streams. Like it's like a river, and you like in commercial income stream, and now here's your game income stream, and now here's your audiobooks, and hey, here's some e-learning in case, because the truth is, the thing I've learned, as you guys know, you're in fashion and then you're out of fashion, and it has nothing to do with you. Now, hold on, I shouldn't say that. Always check. Always check with someone you trust, someone who knows what's getting hired, someone who...
That would be Julia.
Yes. Someone
Always
who knows
check
what
with
they're
Julia.
doing and will tell you the truth. You can trust to tell you the truth, kindly but clearly. And that is so, so important. So the site grew out of those 50 conversations, and it's continuing to evolve based on the needs. Like originally it was designed for us working people to just be like, help, I need some help. And then all these new people were like, we don't know how to do this. Like, you take all these classes and they're great, but there's no big picture of how you put it all together. Yeah. And that's what we have. We are that structure combined with, okay, now I'm here, I just need this quick class, and I just need 10 minutes with somebody to make sure I'm on track, and I need to do a new demo. What do I do? That we have the demo path, because that is one of the places people get screwed over the most.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
It's ugly.
It's brutal. It's shady and weird.
It's shady and weird, and it's expensive. And
Expensive.
It's heartbreaking. How many people aren't doing this anymore because they had a bad experience there?
Yeah.
And whether you're going to do it to make a living out of it, or you're doing it just because you love it and you want to have a cool D&D game, or you want to read better to your kids, who cares? Like, no one has the right to extinguish that. We do this because everyone has the right to do what they love. Everyone, every one of you, shed the shoulds. Do what you love. This is my revolution, to break everyone free of the friggin' corporate world matrix that locks you in and away from your heart and soul. And if this is where it lives, come on in. Come on in. Yeah.
And from my side, Skills Hub has really created a standard and a place for people to use my time and compensate me.
Yes.
Which is something that is pretty revolutionary, because it was very hard to blend that line of wanting to be helpful, but also knowing that your time is worth money and all, and we don't have that much of it. And so it's just been an incredible resource too for people to be able to access me for not a lot of money, but in a way that is like standardized and comfortable for everyone.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful for that.
That's so great to hear, because that's actually, when I look back on my career, on how I got here through mentors. I used to bug Greg and Courtney, who, some of the local radio personalities, and they were at the studio that started me, and I'd bug them to teach me what they knew, and I'd offer to buy them lunch and pay them and stuff, and people want to mentor. People want to give back. But today, I think it was Jim Quick who said, in one day, we get the amount of information people used to get in a lifetime. And they don't have, your bandwidth is burnt. So by creating this structure where you can compensate someone, we call them coaches, they're casting directors, voice directors, working actors, you can pay them for their time. There's reciprocity. Yeah. And you walk away with what you need, and they show up feeling good, like fulfilled, because you've actually given something to someone. Yeah. I was listening to Simon Sinek today, and he was talking about that's where fulfillment comes, is when you give something to someone, when you truly lift someone with your heart. And this is a way to do it that fits into our modern life.
I get so excited when people ask. I used to get, not annoyed, but like, it's a very common question that you get as a voice actor: how do I get into voice acting? And now I get so excited when people ask me that question, because I'm like, you gotta go to skillshub.life, and let me tell you why. And then they're like, okay, stop talking, please. We want to go to skillshub.life. You're telling me to go somewhere, but all you're doing is talking about how awesome. No, it's such an incredible resource, and it came from, again, like you're so clearly a person who looks for where the need is and figures out, okay, how can I help fulfill this need? How can I help be a part of the solution to this problem, or be the solution to this problem? And you have definitely done that for casting directors with the roles that you've gone in for, because a lot of the roles that you've played are, again, like groundbreaking, and I'm sure it was not easy for them to find a person to fill those shoes. And the one that we are going to talk about today, how's that segue, is definitely one of those incredible roles. Let me boot up my hand.
Isn't that amazing?
You have on your iPad.
My daughter.
It's your daughter. Okay,
my
that's fair.
screen, yeah,
That's fair. All right. I still
love it.
haven't seen it. I really need to do that. I know. We're waiting for my mom to be able to come with us. My mom and my husband want to go together. My sweet 84-year-old Indian mother and I and my husband are going to do Barbenheimer, and I cannot wait. She's going to lose her shit.
As a professional woman,
No, she's going to lose her shit.
she's gonna lose it.
She's going to have so much fun. I cannot wait. So another bio moment, just an informational moment for all of you at home. So let's talk a little bit about Commander Shepard, FemShep, and Mass Effect. Video game developer BioWare has never been a stranger to having smash hits. Since their inception in 1995, they have specialized in adapting licensed properties and turning them into successful role-playing franchises with releases like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights, which I played when I was back in the 90s and didn't know that someone was in them, who's sitting in this room. It's really exciting. Their partnership with LucasArts in developing the massively successful Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic laid the groundwork for the studio to take a chance on an original sci-fi IP called Project SFX, later to be known as Mass Effect. The Mass Effect story begins with Commander Shepard and their mission to hunt down a rogue operative that evolves over the course of the subsequent 2 entries into a fight to band together with different species to stop the annihilation of the galaxy. Now, the first game of the original trilogy was celebrated for its character creation and inclusive gender romances, and also excelled at storytelling, which was built from its in-depth system of choices and consequences that allowed for players to create a journey of decisions that carried weight in subsequent installments. It was also supported by incredible voiceover performances led by Mark Meer and Jennifer Hale, who both voiced Commander Shepard depending on how the player designed their version of the character at the start of a playthrough. Jen's version of the character, affectionately referred to as FemShep, became the standout version, but unfortunately not the most promoted. That changed, however, in 2012 when, due to overwhelming demand from the fan base, FemShep was put on the box art of Mass Effect 3, acknowledging her as male Shepard's counterpart and not just an alternate skin of the character. Woo. So, kind of a giant revolutionary world favorite.
I will never forget this moment. We were at the release of 3. That's when we made it onto the box. And it was at a GameStop at midnight. I don't do midnight, and I don't often go to GameStop because I suck at playing games. But I was there, and we were all set up with our tables, and Casey Hudson ran the team at that time, and for a long time. And Casey is a very, he doesn't grab the spotlight. Mm-hmm. He is a behind-the-scenes, brilliant, fabulous, such a kind man, just a wonderful human. And he's not one who likes to have a lot of attention shined upon him. So what did I do? The first person who slapped that thing on in front of me to sign with the cover, because you take the cover out and you flip it over, they take it out and flipped it around. I was just like, I was blown. I got chills thinking about it. Like, I have very few things on my wall, and that is one of the few things I have on my wall. And I literally didn't know what to do with myself. I took it and I picked it up like John Cusack and Say Anything. Yeah. And I stood on top of my chair and I said, Casey Hudson, thank you. And he was like, oh my God. Yeah, I was just like beside myself. My dog wants to be in the podcast. I was beside myself. It was extraordinary. I mean, talk about a moment. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me at conventions in that game. Like, they didn't just play it, it changed something about their life. Mm-hmm. Something huge. Like, people came out to their parents based on that, on that they felt okay and accepted and able to do it. People played with their parent who later passed away. Couples came together over the volume of it. The craziest one I heard one time was there was a woman I met in Chicago at a convention, and she was in her early 30s, but she'd had a stroke. And her physiotherapist said, all right, you need to get your fine motor skills back. Play a game. This one's really good. So she regained her fine motor skills by learning to play Mass Effect. I recorded that and sent the video to the team. I was like, you guys!
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So amazing. Yeah. But let's, I'm gonna, I know you don't like to take the credit. And we always talk about how, people are so used to seeing the actor or hearing the actor and thinking that is the character, but we all know that there is a world of people that come in way before we do.
Oh, yeah.
And the writers create this beautiful character and design, all the developers design it.
Yeah.
But this character very clearly would not have been that iconic were it not for the stamp that you put on it. And what we like to talk about on this show is what exactly do we think from each person's vantage point makes a particular performance an extraordinary one or one that touches people.
Yeah.
And if you make the attempt to be objective and not humble, if you can, and not purely humble, if you can, are there specific things that you believe you brought to the character that you've heard it and you've watched and you'd be like, oh yeah, I totally see why that would touch people in the way it has?
There are a few things. I don't know if I can define why it touches people. I know why I can define, or how to define, some of the things that brought me into it and what it means to me. You know, one of them, just on a fun note, was watching Battlestar Galactica at the time, and I was so inspired by that production and by the style of it, and because it was so raw and so honest, and I was like, that's where I want to take this. And acting, fortunately, evolved from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 3, where I could just drop in and just live it. I didn't have to present like we kind of did a little bit, but the first one, by the time we got to the third one, I could just live a scene. And that was dreamy, to feel that vibe. The other thing is, never forget, it was the mid-90s when I first moved to LA, and I was really bemoaning that I wasn't nearly as good as I wanted to be at my craft. I was like, I was so inspired by the really brilliant people, and then I went straight to, but I'm suck, I'm not that. And fortunately, I was interrupted by a divine smack to the head that said, stop it. You can't decide that now. Talk to me in 20 years. You keep showing up, you keep doing what you do, and you can pass judgment 20 years from now. Do not mention this again until then. And I was like, oh, okay, snot, I won't do that. So I just showed up, and I just kept, and that voice was always there, trust me. This is part of why I really presence mental health in the industry, because I've battled with that, like many of us have. The demons are real. We don't become actors, most of us, because we have a fabulous, life.
Fabulous, well-adjusted, perfect life. That's why I want to be. That's why I want to pretend to be other people for a living.
Exactly.
Because everything's perfect in my life.
And the third thing is, I don't know if I can get through this without crying. I've wanted to save the world since I was 4. That's the first time I remember it. And in this game, I got to pretend that I did.
Wow.
I know, all three of us are crying now.
Yeah. And this is, again, these are, I know we keep talking about all the reasons that we love Jen Hale, but these spontaneous moments of you coming through, and you're so clearly higher mission. Going back to what you said earlier when you said, oh, this sounds a little grandiose, but I feel like I'm a vessel for divine expression or something that was much more eloquent than that. And I don't think it sounds grandiose at all. I think it actually sounds very humble, because it takes the ego out of it and makes it clear that you are a channel for something that is not yours.
Self-importance gets in the way. It slows the channel. It really does. I have to credit a dear friend of mine, Chris Helen. He's a professor at Dalhousie in Nova Scotia, and I've known him forever. And back when he was in grad school, I stopped it through on my way to Labrador to visit family. I stopped to see him when he was at McGill, and I was like, my career is official. You do really. He was studying theology or something. Like, he runs like social media for the Dalai Lama and things. Like, he's an amazing person, and a fun and awesome. And I was just like whining about how superficial my life's choice was, and he introduced me to this concept of divine spark that changed my life. Which is that when you're connected to the highest and best part of yourselves, like you guys doing this, and you're having fun and you're just living in that space. And now, mind you, this is back when stuff was on the radio. He said, and it gets recorded, that divine spark gets recorded on the track. And imagine somebody's just sitting in their car, they're not even paying attention, that commercial or whatever it is on the background, or if you're at home, like the game is streaming in the background, the cinematics going, whatever, in the background. You're not even paying attention. But that spark is there. And it comes and it alights you, even when you're not paying attention. It lifts you and connects you to that highest and best part of yourself. That's the whole point for me of anything, because I just can't get excited about, aggrandizing me. It's like, I don't get me. It's not my thing. It's not my thing.
It's not nearly as fun.
No,
it's not nearly as fun as making the world better for other people.
Well, because I think, then this goes to quantum physics and that whole thing of like there was a great TED Talk. I don't know if you guys have seen this, Jill Bolte Taylor's Stroke of Insight. She's, I believe, a neuroanatomist or something like that. She became a neuroanatomist because her brother was schizophrenic, and she wanted to understand why she could imagine things and it was cool, and why he imagined things and he was terrorized by them because he was convinced they were alive. Right. So she studied this, right? That's just background on that. It's a great TED Talk if you get a chance. And then she had a stroke. And in this TED Talk, she describes her stroke. And in her stroke, what's relevant is her brain split. The two hemispheres did not communicate, it broke. And so she was either completely in the mush brain or she was completely in the digital brain. And the thing that she realized, and I can never remember if it's left or right because I am slightly dyslexic, whichever one is the feeling everything's connected side, the right side, when she was in the right side of her brain, I love you, she could literally see. She describes this, and this has credibility for me because she's a scientist.
Right.
And the way she presents, she is a scientist. She could see the atoms in her hands connected to the atoms in the air, connected to the atoms in the like it was all connected. And then she speaks about the moment where it started to repair and she could no longer see it. So that ties into the work for me, because then it goes to Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell, the hero with 1,000 faces, and there are 30 some stories that we tell over and over, or however many, and there's a certain number of archetypes within those, because we're just seeking to know ourselves and understand ourselves, and we're just seeking connection and humanity in everything. And that's what these stories do. So that's my job as an actor, is to connect to my own humanity, and I've been blessed to have a wide variety of experiences, some of them very intense. And I refer to this when I teach on Skillshub as your library. I have a big library. And this is the thing. I find that when we can accept ourselves, right, we can accept other people. And acceptance is the first step to peace and having a good time for all of us. And it doesn't mean agreement. Like, I accept some stuff and I do not agree with that. But I'm not going to fight that it exists, because clearly it does. Yeah. And so when you're playing like a shadow self or a manipulator or something like that, I got to play it fully, because that is a piece of us. And there's a lesson in it, and the lesson doesn't get communicated if I get shy, Then when I get shy, I've made it about me. When I'll never forget playing Alecto in one of the God of Wars, and she's a seductress, and it was PCAP. And I was like, no. And I don't play from that zone. I don't, love scenes are like, oh, no, ew, no. I hate doing that. It's private. And anyway, so I remember doing this. And plus, it's a tennis ball. And I'm like,
and you're feeling so sexy in this, with all of these balls stuck to you.
Wearing the pajamas.
Sexy skull cap with a piece of strange colored cloth on
your crotch,
panel in your crotch.
And your armpits.
Very sexy look.
Somebody had a sense of humor about that. But I can't make that about me. Yeah. I dishonor the writer, and there's a flow, there's a velocity and an energy when something's really going, and the minute I hitch up and go, oh, me, it goes, yeah. And I'm like, that's not fair. It's not fair to the piece. Not.
And it's also not fair to ourselves when we're performing, because as soon as you make it about you, you limit yourself to what is possible. Yeah. But if you're making it all about what you are reacting to and what you are experiencing in the moment with other people and what they are getting, how are they feeling, and how might it's just like in life when you're really connecting with another person, so much of it is listening.
Yeah, it is. It really is. When I think about it, I think this is part of why I advocate therapy for as many actors as feel like they could begin to think about benefiting from it, because acceptance of yourself and all the ownership of all the pieces of yourself makes you better at your craft.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I wonder if with Mass Effect, if that game in particular was more kind of volume of material than any of the other games that you played, and perhaps there's some part about that, I don't know, saving the world, but also just having such a depth of material. Yeah. I mean, hundreds of thousands of lines over. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to work as a note taker and
jelly.
run the
So
studio when Jen was recording Mass Effect 2, and she was in basically every day, every week, for months and months and months and months and months and months and months.
Yeah. That is a gift. It is. That cannot be underestimated. Getting to spend that kind of concentrated time living as a particular human. Shepard was in my dreams. I was living in the universe in my dreams. It was all up in me. And what a cool thing to live as. You know, it was such a killer thing. I mean,
Do you remember booking it?
I don't remember the call when I booked it.
Or even just like when you first started working on it and the team.
I remember the first session.
Okay.
Because Mac was there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing about this game, and honestly about every project that people deeply connect with, it is the writing. It, of course it has to be well executed, but it is the writing. And it's also the spirit of a company that went, we want to make something we would love to play.
Yep.
And we're going to do whatever we want. And also, I don't think you can underestimate that it's a Canadian company. Now that I live in Canada, and I spent most of my life in the US, but there is a thing in Canada where inclusiveness is in the air. It is what you do. And doing the right thing and people first is a huge piece of this culture. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying it's incredible to be a part of.
Yeah.
And I think that it birthed a company that said, we're going to have same-sex relationships. We're going to normalize so many things in here. And we're going to jump in and have a deep experience that we all love. There's a team of mavericks, and they are never to be underestimated and discounted in this, because it was incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, the depth of story that they managed to tell over that trilogy is... People are still playing the trilogy now.
Yeah. I remember when Legendary came out, I was like, oh my God.
People are still... I mean, in fact, our research team said she hadn't played it. And when she did the research on this, she went out and bought Legendary because she's like, obviously, I can't not play these
Has
games.
she played it yet?
So she's been working on it. Yeah, she's been playing them.
I'm so excited.
That's amazing. Is there any particular part of the experience that you remember that stands out, like any particular scenes that stand out, or days of shooting that stand out, or things that really have stuck with you?
Oh my God. The ending of 3. The ending of 3. Here I go again. Hi, I am Waterworks. How are you?
Spoiler alert, just in case. It may not be a spoiler, but I'm just going to in case it, because I'm allergic to spoilers. I've unfriended family over them. So if you don't want to know, pause here.
Right. Got it? Okay. No, recording like the scenes with Anderson in the end. Anderson's like, you did good, child. Like all the stuff you wish you could hear was incredible. And then one of the acting moments. I had one of those. There were so many in this thing. Well, the thing about it is that people may not realize recording Mass Effect was entirely cold reading. I got nothing ahead of time. And for the first one, I had the paper, so I could flip ahead and kind of go, oh, okay, that's what's coming up. While they were doing tech stuff or whatever, I could flip ahead. I think it was starting in 2, midway around through 2, or even maybe beginning of 2, we switched to a system called Veda. It's a proprietary system. And it was all on iPad, and I did not control it. So until a line came up on the screen in front of me, I didn't know what I was going to say. And I didn't have any context. I just had to trust and go. And I do work with a lot of imaginary friends in the room. That's frequently when I drop a line, it's because I've flash memorized and I'm talking to my imaginary friend. I'm like, oh shoot, I did that right. That's what happens. But or if I'm off mic, I'm like, well, my friend was standing in the wrong place. I place my friends behind the mic. But so that we got to the scene where I said goodbye to Garrus. And at this point, Caroline was directing, and she was directing remotely from Edmonton. So the flow was, I think it was Dave engineering. Dave would engineer. Caroline would say, okay, I'd finish the take. She'd go, okay. And then she and Dave would chat, and then we'd go to the next one, because we cranked that pace. And you really I become Dory, and I just do short-term memory, like, where am I now? Okay, oh, hi. We're doing this scene. Okay, oh, hi. Whatever it is, right? And in this one, I went to speak, and I just about burst into tears, and I was like, Shepard does not cry. Because, it's the who am I. Soldiers don't, you don't have that freedom. You don't have that emotional safety. Like, that's just not what you do. So I was like, I got a little less me, a little more. And it took me a second, and got myself back together, and I choked out the line, and I was waiting for Caroline, and it was just dead air. And I was like, oh man, did we lose the Skype connection? And I was like, Caroline? She goes, yep. Hold on. And I was like, oh my God, Caroline. Oh my God, that's an honor.
Yeah.
Somebody who spends this much time in this project that it connected into humanity in a way that affected her. I was like, oh my God,
I just
I'm
got
so
chills
excited.
all over.
It was cool. It was really such a gift. Yeah, that was cool. I also, I had a really incredible personal moment during the recording of 2. I had been pregnant before, and like many, many women had a miscarriage. Like, it's a very common thing. But when I got pregnant again with my son now, I didn't tell anyone. I told no one. And we were in recording one day, and the doctor was going to call. They were going to call with the results of this specific test that you have to make sure everything's okay. And I was like 4 months at this point. And I don't take calls in the booth. I never. It's the only time I've ever taken a call in the booth. And I'm standing there. I think you were there.
You were there. I cried.
So here's what happens. So the phone rings, and I'm like, and Ginny McSwain was directing. God, I love Ginny. And I'm like, Ginny, I'm so sorry. I have to take this. She's like, what? Okay, go ahead. You know, and I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, hello. And then I get the news, and I drop to the floor. I'm just bawling. I'm like, oh my God, Lisa, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because weird side note, but I've known since I was 9 I was having one kid, and it was going to be a boy. And I was like, when are you coming? And I was like, here he comes. And it was like, oh my God, oh my God. So I remember being on the floor, and I'm thinking, they're gonna want to know what the fuck's going on. Pardon my French, I just swore. And what's happening.
It's okay.
And so I stuck my thumb up in the air so that they would know that everything was okay. And I'm like, okay. You know, and then I'm like, and so I got up and I stood up and I told them.
I can hear it. I can hear it still.
Dave Walsh recorded the whole thing and sent it to me.
Oh,
And
wow.
I have the recording.
I know.
It was just like that. So there's so much with this game, and I'll never forget. Like, I think it was after 3. It was right after 3. BioWare had their Christmas party. And I flew up to Edmonton in the bloody cold winter, where, as my sister said, who grew up in Alberta, she's like, do not breathe in through your nose.
Yep.
And I was like, why?
Yep.
Oh my God,
Yep.
my nose is stuck
I
shut.
learned that from 9 years in Chicago.
Yes! Your nose
Yep.
hairs will freeze together
Yep.
and you can't breathe through your
Oh
nose.
my!
Yeah.
I grew up in New York, but I did not
Because
learn
it
that.
doesn't get
Yes,
that cold in
I
New
guess
York.
not.
But
You
it
have to go
does
a little further north.
It does
Yeah.
in Canada and Chicago.
Oh my God. I was like, how do you people live in this? And,
No.
But I got to go to the BioWare Christmas party with Mark Meir and his wife and the whole team. And it was just like, and Mark is like one of the most, he is just the walking definition of delightful. He's people, I don't know if people know this, you guys, but he is a comedy genius. Yeah. And a D&D beast.
That I know.
Yeah.
That I know.
He's an improv ninja.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ninja. He's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, like I said, we talk a lot about what makes a particular performance a great performance, and it's so clear from everything that we've talked about that in this case, what makes it so great is that you brought us you. You opened yourself up to the world, and you said, here it is. This is me. This is what I've got, and I'm giving it all to you. And you so clearly gave so much of yourself to this game, and we are so lucky that you do that with this, and with every other role that you do, and your friendship and everything. We could sit here and talk with you for hours, and we are going to, once we stop filming, going to continue to sit talking for hours. But we're not going to keep you in the studio the whole time. Is there anything that you want to share with the folks at home? I believe this is going to be out in like October-ish. We don't really know.
I mean,
are there things? Well, first of all, where can everybody find you on the socials?
Everybody can find me on the socials. I am at jhalegraham on Instagram. I am at jhaletweets on Twitter. I am at jhaletalk on TikTok. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm always on the Skills Hub socials. That's really the place you can find me. I'm teaching. I never thought I would teach, but I'm teaching a class for people who are starting out. We're creating more and more classes. We're just kind of building this kind of university framework for people to come in and just go through. And the one thing I want to say to everybody, and to you guys as well, I'll say it to them and then I'm going to say it to you. Thank you. Thank you for playing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the chance to have this amazing life with all of you and this community. I was at an event last night. You guys are you're just extraordinary. You're intelligent and heartfelt and fun and cool. And I appreciate you so much. And I feel that way about the two of you. You guys are incredible friends. You're powerful, beautiful, incredible women. And I'm so excited that you're doing this.
Well, clearly we don't like you at all.
I know.
We just flew up here to be around someone we really don't. Ew, Jen Hale. Wow. Oh, God, I guess we have to go hang out with her. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thank you so much for doing this. We love you guys. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, subscribe on the YouTube, follow Jen on the socials, follow us on the socials. It'll be in all the places on the screen that it's supposed to be, or in the captions. I'm just going to point in all directions.
Perfect.
It will be somewhere around here. I don't know. I don't do tech. That's way above my pay grade. But thank you again.
Thank you.
I'm Anjali.
I'm Julia.
And this is Character Select, and go have yourselves a great day.
Woo.
Character Select is recorded at Slap Studios, LA. Executive producers Rick Barrio-Dill, Anjali Bhimani, and Julia Bianco Scheffling. Producer Bree Khoury. Assistant Amanda Mack. Intro animation by Bree Khoury and Larissa Donahue. And theme song by Rick Barrio-Dill. The views and opinions stated on this show are those of the individuals and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their employers or any companies they work with. If you have questions for the show or suggestions for future episodes or guests, send us an email at careselectpod@gmail.com. That's CHAR selectpod@gmail.com. And thanks for listening.